Hey, so welcome to another episode of watching Tony work, I guess. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of work on the Southwest Communities Project. As part of that project, it does many things, but one of the things we do is we promote other groups' works and things happening around the southwest of the UK via social media. And whilst I've built a product in the past that semi-automates this process, it's something that's yet to be integrated into this project. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into how we do that. So we queue social media posts via a tool called Buffer. And we take them from the actual website. So I'm going to separate these out. It's been a long day. Log in. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that we're working today in a contained Chrome window. So I'm involved in so many different projects, and for Buffer alone I must have 10-15 accounts, and I find it's a lot easier to manage if they are done in separate windows to kind of keep everything self-contained. It makes logging in a lot easier, but yeah. So our last post went out yesterday. So now it's time to add some new ones in. Generally do maybe 10-12 days at a time. And one of the things about this project is it's only forward facing. There's no historical record of events, so we have to be careful about which ones we post, because if event organizers change the title of the event, it will change the URL, which will then point people towards a 404 page, and that's not ideal, but it saves the hassle of having to maintain a record of these events. Now these events are posted elsewhere, so like for example TechX is on the screen. You can go to their meetup page or their Eventbrite page and find everything that they've done in the past, and we don't think that replicating that is any good. Most importantly, I need some tunes to work with, and today we are working to the Social Network original soundtrack by Trent Razor and Atticus Ross, who are part of some group apparently. This is a good soundtrack. It'll be quieter than the last one, so you might not hear it quite so strongly. So if you're not aware, Buffer's a tool for queuing posts up, and we use Buffer because we can add stuff to multiple networks, and it kind of works, even though really ideally we'd have completely different content for each network, but this is a side project, not something we spend a lot of time on. By we, I just mean me. So yeah, let's start. I think the last one we did was TechX, so we won't do that one. But we do have to talk functional. So copy the URL. And then we have to generate some kind of content around it. So this is talk functional, so version 2 mutating state. So the second is when. So I'm going to put programming as programmer, because chances are programming has more followers on the hashtag. I'll remove that and then copy that. Drop that. So for Twitter and Facebook, we pretty much duplicate the content. So that's quite easy. This group I don't believe are on Twitter or Facebook, so you don't have to worry about that. But for Instagram we do it ever so slightly different. So we'll copy it in. And because we're not referring to a link, because links aren't clickable within Instagram, we've got to change the wording ever so slightly. So let them meet up by the exit function. Okay, so where's this one going to be hosted? So it's City Gate Exeter. Okay, just by tagging it, it comes up in more people's lists. Now, if we do put the link in, let's this one up. So by putting the link in, it shows that jobs are good, but then we remove the link just so it's pulled in the image. One of the things I want to change is to add two formats of the image to the website so that I get two options there, one square, one rectangle, because obviously Instagram is based all around squares. As it's the beginning of the month, we'll put in a generic one. So this number here was only added so I can write this tweet every month. There are 27. I thought we were on random. We are on random. Sorry, music just wasn't in the right order. There are 27 events happening for digital tech folks around the southwest. And then for this one, we link to the calendar. Okay. We copy that one across to Facebook as well. We'll put that in the evening. Evenings on Facebook on Sundays at least tend to have a slightly better engagement rate. Not that we got a lot of engagement rate. I won't put that one on the Instagram, just because I don't necessarily think that's a message that's suitable to go on Instagram. Cool. Now some easy ones for us to add. So I released a new feature this week, which was to add an RSS. So if we copy that one. So unlike most features that we put into this project, this one hasn't actually been tested by our beta testers. So we somebody commented on our GitHub profile, which the link is down here in the bottom, saying that they wanted an RSS feed, so we added it in. Copy link address, not the text, isn't it? And copy that. Each month we like to highlight a community, and we added a few more last month. I think we did DD Tech last time. Actually, we did Tech Girls last time. Who should we do? So Swin haven't got any events coming up now. Let's get their thing off Twitter. And then hashtag the hell out of it. Okay, so I'll put the Twitter one in there. What is that? Facebook. Southwest IoT. Wednesday, so I'll try and space out these non-event ones a little bit, just so that stuff's not repetitive. And this one's got the right Twitter link. We'll let it pull in the image because it looks a little bit different. And then we will put this one . Are they on Instagram? So flip over to a different window. No. Taco Bell. Oh, that Taco Bell. Best thing about the Taco Bell coming to Plymouth is that the McDonald's next door to it is always a lot quieter, which reduces the mean time to Big Mac. All in favour. So we won't. A little insight into my life there. I won't add the link there, but we've pulled in that image. I won't add a location either. So schedule a post. Missed one there. Okay, let me refresh it to get those numbers accurate, because they're not for some reason. So we've got those kind of skeleton posts in. 3D printed feminist earrings. So let's start adding stuff in. So that's a good one. Digital Exeter. Tuesday. Double check. I did think they were on next time. That they were on Facebook. It looks like I've searched them before. No, they're not. So that needs to go to Citygate, must be. Cool. Cool. What's next? because we like to be hip, let's replace cake with I've got to do digital external now. So let's do Facebook. I'm just going to take that one because they are on Instagram. So Instagram you need to check. So yeah, city gate exit. Cool, so we're up to Thursday already. Get it on. So what's next? PHP Dorset. Nope. Executive business sector. So it looks like the Executive Business Centre is within Bournemouth. Hashtag that. Cool. Copy that. Schedule post. Go and replicate it. That was Thursday, wasn't it? If you're a business or you run a place, claim your profile. It makes it so much easier for people like me. Executive Business Centre. I bet they're on Instagram. And drop that in there. Get on. Getting there. We are getting there, folks. 7. Okay. Is that the same one? TQ2. No. What I'll do, I'll get this one ready for Facebook. So that's what we'll post on Facebook, but we need to edit this down for Twitter because we're 65 characters over. No, that doesn't look like Cornwall College to me. Cornwall College, UK. Grid College. We'll fix that one in post. The way Buffer uses the way Buffer pulls in stuff from Facebook is not actually that great. Quite often you type in exactly the right thing and it's the last thing it will show you, if it shows you it at all. So that's that one. I mean, that's kind of banking on the fact that Cornwall College will still be open at that point. I can say that now, I'm not employed by them. That's Saturday, wasn't it? So let's do any new one for once. I don't think no. No. I bet Cornwall College are though. Yeah, under Cornwall College. I feel like they've had enough promotion. I think we got one more. Yep, so that takes us up to 9 for Twitter, which means we've got one more event to find. So let's do Fab Lab Dev, but let's link to their page because they've got quite a few. else I'm getting tagged in. I'll fix that one in post. So you can go into Facebook and edit. So, but that'll do for now. It's Monday, not March. I didn't put dates. When is that? Didn't put that Instagram tag right. So Instagram. You can tell how many times I've done this because I remember their names. Cool. So we hit 10, I think. So we'll just, yeah. So 10 is the limit for the free buffer. So that's as many as we're going to do today. If we look at our to-do list, we do that. And that comes up on Friday. So I'm going to reschedule that for Sunday, which will be the day before the last one goes out. There was a tiny, yeah. Okay, bear with me just 2 seconds. Just need to grab something. Yeah, so that's the post put there. If we have a look, that took 47 minutes. So let's say 45 minutes by the time I'd waffled. It's 45 minutes to write 10 tweets, effectively. Doing social media stuff takes a lot longer than you anticipate. It certainly does for me. And this is quite an easy one to do. It's mainly copying and pasting. So if you think when there's people being actually creative when they're doing this stuff, it takes quite a while, I would guess. So that's the social media feed done for that. what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look at to-do list. There's a couple of little things I can add in. So that's in mobile mode, isn't it? So different people find different events in different ways. There are a lot of people who just do it via Facebook. There's a lot of people who just do it via Meetup. There's a lot of people who just do it via Eventbrite. So if a community has something, a profile on one of those platforms, we try and keep a good track of them. Now this is DEFCON X. I'm just gonna like, I don't want to like that, but I will like it as my page. I will like it as my page. Tick. Yeah, so we try and keep everything up to date. So while we're here, and before I have to run off and do dinner, we're gonna reopen this project. So I recently updated the operating system, which means not everything's on here. So if I do add project folder, sorry. So yeah, this is the one. Cool. We're only going to do the website today, and we'll just update that. Now is it just okay? So it's just the username we need. Slash no. And then we'll push that, and that will trigger a new build. There's somebody on the somebody on the Cornwall Geeks community found that on Facebook. Yeah, so somebody's finding it via Facebook, so we should add it on Facebook, because then they might find it via us. Let's just see if there's any other little ones that we can knock off today. So here you can see kind of the things we got in line for it. So these are our big items. So send out a newsletter once a month, send out the beta list once every 3 months, add a batch of social media posts, which you've just seen. So Southwest Community at the moment only takes events from Eventbrite and Meetup, but there are other sources that we'd like to include, such as the Helm Ticket platform, but there's no API to do that, and they've been going through a rapid development prototype, and I'm very dubious about spending time scraping essentially CSS selectors, which might change quite quickly. So the newsletter content generator is something that will pull out a bunch of events in the format that we need in order to send out this newsletter, which should save a little bit of time. Business cards to give out. Heroku's closing down the platform, which the internal API, which is kind of hidden from the world, is built upon. We've got some new groups to add in there. We might be doing a podcast. And then these are the features we want to add to the website. So dark mode. My phone is almost always in dark mode, so that would be quite nice. Making the site offline first. Probably won't do that for the whole site, make it offline first. But what we might do is cache images on the client side, we're finding that many of the people who come to the site come to it repeatedly. So by caching a bunch of images, it will all speed up for them, basically. Identifying and displaying different types of groups. So we've got a feature branch at the moment where we are incorporating things like Chamber of Commerce events and projects that are funded, like Epic and ATI, and things like Startup Weekend. We want to include those within the project so that we can give a bump to our visitor numbers. But it's about doing it in the right way. It's important that this project remains community focused, but that you are able to get other information from it. Something we've been asked for, and I'm at the point with that where I need to sit down and just add all of the groups in, and that's quite a lengthy and drawn out process. I'm just waiting for the right time to do that, and that's kind of it. Tagging and filtering is kind of a very similar thing. Native lazy loading, so Chromium based browsers can now lazy load images, and we're using a library to do that at the moment. So removing that library will speed up the site a little bit. If the browser can do it, why get a library to do it? And then the sharing options, again, we've got Twitter sharing at the moment. Let me just show you. So we've got Twitter sharing at the moment on event, so you can share it, but for Chromium based browsers on mobile, you can pull up the native sharing menu, and there's an excellent blog post by Craig Buckler which I'll be implementing at some point. The site does have a public API which has only ever been used by one person, I believe, so that's very low priority, but quite a simple one to do. And then the internal API. Data at the moment is just a big JavaScript file that's not even a JSON file. So we're going to move that off to Firebase so that all of the independent apps can use the same data source, because we're having to put duplicate stuff in. And Eventbrite, pardon me, Eventbrite for organisers who've started in the last, I don't know, 12 months, let's say, they show you or provide you with the snippet by default rather than the full description which you can get for old stuff. So if we have a look at the calendar, if we look at, just picking one out that I know, Software Cornwall is a new organiser. So rather than, we have a look at the ticket page, so that there, see, this is why it's important the site is quick, because right now I've lost interest. You'll see that it's the snippet, there's a short snippet to describe the event. Now I wonder whether that's us or them now. Problem for another day. That's a short snippet, whereas they do have a long description. It's only pulling in the short snippet, whereas if we have a look at, if it's up, they've got the full thing there. Yeah, so that's another thing to do. So Digital Plymouth have gone back to their original format, original dates. So that's something that's on the pipeline, but that is something which is going to hammer our API key. So I need to think about how I do that, and it might require a change in the underlying way which we get Eventbrite events. Yeah, but for now, oh, pardon me, riveting stuff, isn't it? For now, that's going to be it. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of Watching Tony Work. Catch you on the next one.